Yo, yo, fellas.
What's up, boys?
Booze, Blevins, and Ballyhoo.
Ballyhoo.
What do you do when you can't sleep and you're not sure what to do? You just go online with your buddies and chat.
That's
Yep.
right. Talk
Yep.
about the week that was.
The week that was, the week that will always be.
Yes, the week that was. And we've had a very busy week, haven't we, out there?
Yes, we have.
Yes, we have. Everybody, hello, everyone out there in Facebook land and in the YouTube land.
Welcome. But Billy,
Wel-
dude, what's the latest, man? What's going on with the amazing She
Oh.
300, dude?
Dude, the amazing 300's blowing up.
Blowing up.
Blowing up! It's doing
Blowing up.
awesome. It's actually doing really awesome. We we've allocated 50 for the New York Comic Con, so we have them for the show, right?
Oh,
That's a
nice.
lot, I think, to sell. But believe it or not, it's really not, because it does have to. Where's the beers? There's a beer. You got a beer?
Drink a beer.
And Blevins doesn't drink, but we have Blevins, and then Ballyhoo will ensue.
I'm freaking wasted.
Yeah, here we go. Here's our guys. What's up, Indy Dave? What's up, Eddie? How you doing?
What's up, fellas?
Yeah. But we sold. We have, I think, 90 left available to actually sell, because we got inquiries from retailers who want buy in bulk.
Mm-hmm.
But we sold. Oh my God, dude! Sold a couple of hundred of them, maybe 300 of them or so.
Dang.
Crazy.
Soloff. What's up, Soloff?
Where's Soloff? I just said
Soloff.
you wanted to
He's
come
in the
on.
chat.
Let me ask. Can you fit Soloff in?
Yeah, why not? We'll figure it out. We'll have some fun, huh? We'll have
Crazy.
Yeah,
some
yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
Where's Soloff? Let me find him. Soloff.
Find him. Get this cat on.
Let's see if he responded. Soloff, do you want to go YouTube live? He's not getting back to me.
What time is it in Medellin?
Soloff. What's that word? What's that thing? That program? Do you want to
Skype?
come on live and tell everyone about your Colombian crime adventure?
Who is your love affair down there, Solo?
Yes. Who are you stopping down there?
Ooh.
F you.
Soloff. This is a
This is a family show.
family show.
Yeah, it's a family show, dude. What the heck? Get with it, son.
Get with it. So, guys, what did you do today? You had an interesting day, Blevins. You picked some people up for a con.
Did indeed. Got to pick up some people. There's a huge Comic-Con happening here in Arkansas. So yeah, it's good times. Like, got the Green Power Ranger, Kevin Conroy, Sean Astin, Mick Foley. I mean, there's just the original Data from the Goonies. Like, he's gonna be there. Like,
Really?
yeah.
I don't know what that is.
Good times.
You don't know
He
what
was
the
he was the
Goonies
guy
is?
he was the kid who was saved by his pinchers of power. I'm just letting you know.
Yeah.
He was
really.
also in Indiana Jones.
He was.
Oh, short round?
Yeah, short
Yeah.
round.
Oh, okay. I like that.
So, but
kid.
who did you pick up today?
Got to meet up with old Jason David Frank and Sean Astin. It's a good
Oh,
time.
that's
Dude
cool.
picked him up at the airport. He took him to Arby's. They shared a curly fry. A couple hugs, some high fives, and then they were on their way.
Yeah, I'm gonna call.
That's about right. I
Is
think
it?
that's about how it goes. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Double O Blevins, the man of mystery. He's
Yeah,
always got
went
something
to-
cool going on.
We went to Sam's
Soloff, you want
Club.
to come on our YouTube live show? Facebook Live?
I took him to Sam's Club and got him
All right,
each
we're gonna
a
call-
slice of pizza.
Oh, nice. I prefer the Costco.
What?
Costco.
The Costco hot dog.
There's no Costco in Arkansas.
Soloff,
You
can
don't
you
have
hear me?
Costco's in Arkansas?
Nope.
You want to come on our show live?
Everyone has Costco's.
Except Arkansas.
I cannot believe I am awake. That's cool, bro.
Don't you have Skype on your phone?
So, for those that
All
don't
right,
know,
well,
our buddy
Skype
Soloff
on
is
phone.
in Colombia.
Okay. Hey, can we call Soloff via Skype?
Yeah, we can call Soloff via Skype. I can put a little
All right,
window in here. We can
score.
jump him in.
Give him a minute. Let's call Soloff via the Skype.
He's just got to let us know when he's on.
Yeah. Let me see. I'll text. Let me message him. me put you guys on mute again.
Again.
Again, does he normally put us on mute?
Let me know when you're on Skype. Like, message me through this.
He's
Skype.
on mute.
Yeah.
So did you hear the Brazilian mayor blasts Marvel? Orders police sweep of Young Avengers books?
Why?
Because there's a two men kissing.
And they don't allow that in Brazil?
I guess not.
Who's kissing and why are they kissing? Is it part of the story, like a cool part of the story or something? Or
Yeah, Blevins was telling me about it.
who are the two characters?
I definitely was not telling him about it.
The Avengers, The Children's Crusade by Alan Heinberg and Jim Chung.
Children's
Two
Crusade
members
was
of the
already a
young...
comic.
What's that?
The Children's Crusade was already a comic, wasn't it?
Yeah. In Avengers, The Children's Crusade by Alan Heinberg and Jim Chung. Two members of the Young Avengers, Wycon and Hulkling. Hulkling become a couple. A moment the pair seal with a kiss.
Oh, isn't that lovely? The
So
Children's
it was
Crusade.
the Young Avengers. Young Avengers.
Yeah, Young
the
Avengers.
The Children's
Weird.
Crusade was actually was Jackie Coogan was a part of that, young Jackie Coogan, in 1930, I think, or no, or a little maybe 1920, in the late 20s, maybe 25, 20, maybe 28 or so, and he traveled the world to raise money for all the orphans of World War I, and it was huge success.
Really?
Went to Europe. And went to England and stuff like that, and it was called the Children's Crusade, and they raised millions and millions of dollars. He was the biggest star in the world at the time, Jackie Coogan,
No shit.
who was the kid who later on became Uncle Fester. It's so funny, like you think of Uncle Fester, what do you think of him? Like he wasn't a very attractive man, right?
No, not at all.
To say the least, but as a child, Jackie Coogan, he was like the most beautiful child in the world. He was a beautiful kid. Just didn't grow, really didn't grow into his looks.
His beauty
But he was-
left at 11.
Yeah, he was married to Betty Grable, though, believe it or not. And he also flew gliders in World War II and flew behind Japanese lines and delivered a whole bunch of commandos and fought with them in, like, the China-Burma, India theater. And he was a real war hero. He was a real war hero. Jackie Coogan, who became Uncle Fester, that so few people knew about, huh?
Yeah, you know, it's funny that you mentioned that, and I remember that growing up, that he was like a beautiful little baby boy.
Beautiful little baby
Beautiful
boy.
little baby boy, and then puberty took him over, and he blew up like a balloon.
He blew it like a balloon. He didn't look so good at all. And then his
Then he
family
went
his
to sue
mother
his folks for money.
millions.
Hey, did you ever have the Garcia Lopez style DC guide?
I don't know. I have like all those books.
Do you? So they're trying to bring those books back. Young Jackie Coogan, the champ.
Yes. No, that wasn't the champ. Jackie Coogan was not in the champ. That was, believe it or not, I think that was a young, what's his name? Superman's father in the 1978 Superman.
Oh.
No. His Earth
No.
father, Kent, who played Clark Kent's dad.
Oh, his Earth father?
Yeah, his Earth father. Who's that actor?
Shit, I don't know.
Cooper. Jackie Cooper.
Jackie Cooper.
Yep. Oh, comic artist, pro secret. See, of course, EBS knows this. Jackie Cooper played. Jackie Cooper played in the Champ, which is followed up by who? What, the Ricky kid?
Yeah, Ricky Schroeder.
Ricky Schroeder. Look at little Ricky Schroeder.
Little Ricky Schroeder.
Who's
John Voight.
Yes, John Voight.
Let's talk about something I'm into right now.
What are you into now?
My show that I'm watching right now is Car 54. Where are you, brother?
You are.
I'm still watching it. I'm obsessed with that. I love that shit.
Yeah. Yes,
Car
and
54, where are you? Now
So
that's
are you
some good
really
shit.
obsessed with Car 54? Where are you?
I love those old shows. I was freaking on. Sorry.
Can you curse?
You can curse, bro. No, I didn't.
I don't think you can curse.
This is the
You can
interwebs.
curse.
I think you're allowed to curse.
Dude, bro.
Look
This
at
is-
that cat.
this
Hey,
is-
Cat, how are you, honey?
This is Beers, Blevins, and Ballyhoo.
Ballyhoo.
This doesn't have to be a monetized show. It's
bored,
about good old
bored.
fun.
We're just bored.
I know we're bored.
Tired. The weather's
I
crappy.
know, right? I'm freaking talking to Blevins, and I'm like, dude, I'm just spinning at my chair here in my studio. I cannot get my mind working. I'm just sketching weird stuff.
And then we sang "Gangster's Paradise" by Coolio.
We totally did. He rapped, and I was freaking hitting those lines, man.
I'm
spending most of my life living in a gangster's paradise. Come on, Blevins.
You got the situation.
Yeah.
You got Jason. I can't live a normal life. I was raised by the street.
Yeah.
Jesus, what the hell? Charlie Murphy!
Charlie Murphy! Yo, did you see his new stand-up?
Hey, Kat. No, not yet. I saw the special.
Who's new stand-up? You talking about Dave
Chappelle, bro? Yeah, it was freaking hilarious,
I watched
dude.
it.
I loved it.
I heard it's brilliant. Let's see if that's Soloff.
Is he ready to come on?
You want to Skype Soloff?
Yeah, you want me to add him in?
Yeah.
Adding in Soloff. So long, Soloff.
Let's just add everybody from the chat in. In fact, why don't we just have the video of all the people in the chat, and then us three go to the chat and talk to them through the chat.
That's what we should do. Look, we got
I
Scott
love
McCullough, Great American Hero. What's up, Scott? Kathleen Cat Healy. Cat has over 150 parachute jumps. She's part of the airborne demonstration team. Of course, we got EVS here. I'm watching You Bet Your Life, and a bunch of episodes are up on Amazon Prime. So
Amazon's got all the good shows, man.
You know what we were watching EVS? We were watching a few weeks ago the Dean Martin celebrity roast. Oh my god! and EVS, what? Niall, why don't you tell EVS what we were just talking about and who I was just talking about? What videos were I showing you when I was sharing my?
The JFK assassination.
The JFK
the video game, dude.
Yeah, the JFK Reloaded that Hunter and I would play all the time at the shows. I love that.
It was unreal. It was uncomfortable to watch. I'm not gonna lie.
Blevins was really very upset.
Blevins was just like, oh, and Billy's like, ha ha ha.
Yeah, he's like, ha ha, they're dead.
Look at all the people, they're dead.
And I'm like, I don't think this is right. Comedy game.
Yeah, Blevins got very uncomfortable, but Blevins had dinner with former President Bill Clinton yesterday, didn't you, buddy?
Yes, it was awesome.
Did he hit on you?
No, not at all.
Let's just say, Blevins wasn't a cigar guy before he met him.
But
his humidor is full. Oh,
horrible.
I did that.
Oh, that's man. Not right. Soloff's not coming up. Is it because he's in another country?
I just tried to call. Soloff, don't call me.
Yeah, it's not working. It's not working for the Soloff.
He's oh my gosh.
What are you going to do? It's not right. It's back and to the left.
Back and to the left. Back and to the left. And we should do a JFK show.
Well, really, what do you think, man? 3 shots fired.
3 shots, yeah.
3 shots fired.
EVS, would you consider coming on the show in November so we can dissect the Kennedy assassination? One of the most tragic episodes in our country's history, and also EVS's favorite president is JFK.
Really?
Yep.
Now, why is that?
That's awesome.
I don't know. If you want to get him on the show, he'll tell us.
Ethan, will you come on the show to tell us why JFK is your favorite president?
He said sure.
He said yes.
He said sure.
Yes.
So if it's not 7 shots, it was 3 shots. It's recorded.
I think it was Blevins shots.
It's documented.
Yeah, bro, it's documented.
3 shots. Why didn't you try to get him on? Do you have his Skype?
What's up? What you doing to me here, bro?
Do you have his Skype?
I have his Skype. Jeez, hang on. Everyone's so pushy tonight.
Everyone's so pushy tonight. Hello.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show.
Oh,
I'm Niall. This is Brian, and this is Billy.
Wow.
We like to write stories.
Yeah, I want to
guys.
Mr. Blevins.
Oh, yes, Mr. Blevins. Oh, Brian Pulido's Blasphemy Anthem has ended. And Brian, his Kickstarter raised... You ready for this, chaps?
What did it raise?
Brian, he ended his 30-day campaign with 2,733 backers, $323,866.
No shit.
Yep.
That is crazy.
That is awesome. Congratulations,
insane.
buddy. We love you, Brian. We love you, Fran. We love everyone in the Comics crew. You guys are amazing. Jimmy, everyone there. And
Mr. Van Sciver.
It's
Yes. Hello.
what is
Hey,
Yes,
how's
sir.
it going?
Do I sound okay? I mean, you know.
You
I
do
don't know.
Yeah.
It's like a
Yeah, it
little
sounds
softer,
great, actually.
maybe. Like,
Oh.
whoa,
that's
Brian,
good.
relax, bro. Relax. He's married.
Hi guys.
Hi, White. Can we move this so at least we show his icon
Okay.
on
Would
Facebook,
you like
Niall,
to show
or no?
video, or would you like to just be audio?
No, you know, audio's okay. You know, I mean, I'm, you know, I could turn on my camera if you want. I don't know how
It's
to.
up to you. It doesn't matter. I'm just
Yeah.
gonna bring you in. Chat amongst yourselves.
Chat on.
Mm.
Yeah, I guess Soloff is not going to work out being in Colombia. But I'd like to talk to Soloff because I hope he doesn't get murdered out there. Soloff, my buddy Soloff, EVS, if you know him, he moved to Medellin, Colombia, to teach.
To teach people how to
Speak
distribute
English.
cocaine.
I don't know.
Hold on. This is terrible. I can't. I can't get the. I'm just gonna go. I'll go. You know, Avatar. I'll go Avatar today.
All right.
EVS, why do you wear those things on your wrists, on your elbows? What is that?
These are spider elbow pads.
Yeah.
They help. Yeah. I mean, look. You know, I put so much pressure on my elbows when I'm drawing.
Yeah.
That I got bursitis, and
shit.
yeah, the doctor said, "Hey, wear these elbow pads." And I'll tell you something. That was like 5 years ago, and I've worn them ever since. I buy new ones all the time when I flatten them out.
Really?
It makes drawing so much more comfortable.
Oh,
I
I bet,
can't
yeah.
tell you. Yeah, so it's a good thing. I mean, you know, look, I'm falling apart, Billy. I'm an old man. I mean, I don't have the youth and, you know, elan of a young Billy Tucci. My body is at its breaking point.
Yeah.
Hello.
Matthew says hello.
Hi, Matthew.
You want to come on and say hi so he sees you? Matthew's playing a video game. What game are you playing, Matthew?
I'm playing.
Say hello.
Hello.
Make me big. Can you make me big?
Yeah, sure.
What's up, buddy?
Oh, okay, make me big. I meant like bigger on the screen so you could see.
Nice.
Say hello.
Hello.
You want me to make you big?
Yeah, is that all right?
No, it's not all right, bro. I got templates. I got
Oh, all right.
templates,
All
bro.
right, all right, leave Blevins big. I want to see what's going on behind
Blevins
Blevins.
is already big enough as it is, I think.
So,
Yeah.
Ethan,
Yes, sir.
Yes.
JFK.
John
What's this about?
Hang on. John Fitzgerald Kennedy, born May 29th, 1917, in Brookline, Massachusetts, perhaps?
That sounds right to me. Yeah, the
Oh.
Kennedy compound.
Yes, same year as my grandmother. Had he been alive, had he survived, he'd be 102 years old today. The grand lion of American politics, if you will.
Can you imagine?
Due to his health problems, of course, I'm sure that was highly unlikely, especially with his cigar habit, but also from his various injuries from childhood, also, and of course, being an American hero in World War II.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
and aside from that, so could you tell us about your
Excuse me.
fascination with John F. Kennedy?
Well, I mean, I always just, first of all, I'm fascinated with the time period. You know, I really like I like the late 50s and early 60s an awful lot. You know,
Yeah.
I would live in that time period. You know, we talk about, you know, you and I talk about, you know, where we'd rather be than right, you know, at this point in time.
Yeah.
And to me, yeah, that's it for me. I absolutely love that time period. I just like the Kennedys. I like JFK hanging out with the Rat Pack. I like him with all the ladies. I mean, that guy got a lot of ladies.
Yeah,
Oh,
he did.
yeah.
He loved all the lovely ladies. I'm mentally high-fiving him in heaven right now, thinking about all of the lovely ladies that he loved.
Yeah, but now, what were some of his most famous conquests, if you will? Because I guess a man in that power, and Blevins, you know this, having dinner with Bill Clinton last night.
I don't think that's a good you know, comparison. But go ahead.
Right. Well, yeah, Clinton's also like raped women, so maybe we shouldn't
Wow.
compare it to
Wow, bro.
to JFK. But
Whoa.
Ethan, what are some of JFK's rumored conquests?
One of them was his friend Len Billings, who was a man.
Mhm.
And I've got some very strange evidence that might suggest that JFK was gay.
Really?
Yeah,
Ooh.
or had some kind of now he had his roommate at Choate, Lem Billings, stayed with him his whole life. They wore white pants together. There are pictures of them holding hands often, stroking puppies together.
Really?
Now, I mean, yeah, all of these things in isolation, maybe not particularly interesting, but all in all, I mean, when one looks at all of these things together, one wonders.
Yeah,
Okay?
well, if someone is such a so prolific at the carnal arts, if you will, as JFK was, and perhaps addicted to it or something, yeah, you can see him going, what the hell? Who cares?
Yeah,
He seemed to have a very, very, very thirsty, a big appetite for it. Wouldn't you say so?
I would, let me send over some photographs. I don't know if you want to show them on your stream, Billy. Are you able to show pictures and everything? I mean,
Yeah,
Niles
we can
running
show
it.
pictures.
I'll send them to Billy. I don't know if I have Niles. Nile, you on Twitter? I mean,
Yeah, I'm on Twitter.
okay, hold on a
At
Second.
Niles Scala or at
And I was
Crowdfund.
like,
At
yeah, I'm on
Crowdfund
Twitter. Why
Comics.
wouldn't you be on Twitter?
I'm on
I have a
Twitter.
book called Jocks and Nerds, Matthew. Look in that bookshelf right there, please, and look to see if there's a book. It's either in one of these. It's called Jocks and Nerds. I'll look over here, and it's a great book about men's fashion, and I think women too. I went to the Fashion Institute of Technology, and I wanted to be a fashion illustrator. It's a nice book. It just should say on the spine, like a nice art size book. And as JFK there was a lot of fashion about the jock look, that preppy look,
Oh, sure.
Hayana sport look, and there's a lot of Kennedy, and he had such impeccable fashion sense. He really did. And
Yeah. I mean, you could look at it that way. Sure.
now,
Sure.
now, Ethan, the election of 1960.
Mhm.
Now there were rumors about Mayor Daley in Chicago conjuring up, and maybe in West Virginia something like this happened too. 100 or so thousand dead voters voting for JFK. Is there any truth to that rumor or speculate? I know there's some speculation to it, but the dead vote that came out for JFK, that pushed him over the top in the election.
In Virginia, I
No,
mean,
no, I think in West Virginia, but I also think in the city of Chicago or in Cook County, Chicago.
yeah, I mean, it's quite possible that election was stolen. He used the unions to kind of stuff the ballot box. In one particular, I mean, it was a razor thin margin. I mean, that election.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Nixon probably won it. In fact. Okay, I sent you over some pictures. Now, guys, if you wouldn't mind looking at these, I mean, again, one of these in isolation, not a big deal. I mean, all of them together, though, suggest something else, perhaps.
Perhaps.
Interesting.
Well,
they're
yeah,
so they're
There's a
gazing. Couple of
Yeah,
chums.
don't
There's a
just
couple
have
of
it wrong.
chums.
chums. Yeah, they're sure.
Chums, yeah.
Chumming
That's
it up.
no big deal. Uh, Now shirtless, arm in arm on the beach. Maybe, maybe that's okay. Maybe it's not a big deal. But I ask you, I mean, the third one that I just sent over. I mean,
Same. They're also wearing the same shorts. It looks like
they're matching. Yeah,
matching
they're
shorts.
Matching shorts.
Now, of course, you go down to a hotel. Say that's down in Miami. Maybe they took a college trip, right?
Sure,
And
sure.
well, gee whiz, we're coming up from Massachusetts. We're a couple of Harvard men, and
Yeah, I just
we're heading down to But where are you going to buy your shorts? And you don't those type of chaps didn't wear the same shorts from the year before.
Well, Billy, I'm just saying that top right photo. Would you wear the same matching white linen pants and white shirt and stroke the same puppy with your knees touching as your pal? I mean, is that
Yeah.
is it? that's interesting, isn't it?
I
That
got
is
my
interesting.
best friend.
Yeah,
Your
it's
life.
also interesting that I'm looking at these pictures of JFK, and my son William could be a Kennedy. I'm looking.
I don't know. It's
I
interesting.
think
That's
this
all.
is an interesting little thing you've put together here, Ethan.
Yeah, yeah.
I can see where you're coming from.
Yeah, and they were friends their whole lives, and ever since they were little kids, and spent a lot of time together. I don't know. That's right. Chaplain Bear points out that they
Yeah.
were seamen. Yeah,
Yeah,
they
they
were
were
seamen.
seamen.
Yes, they were. Well,
Uh,
what's also interesting is that the Spartan warriors, that they lived together. They married primarily to have children and all. Because and you see like their buds, lifelong pals, or and I'm sure they you got friends that you love. I love you, EVS. I love you, Niall Scala, Blevins.
Oh,
I just met you,
jeez.
but by George, I love you already.
mhm.
And it's good, loyalty. You have someone that sticks with you your whole life, and who else more than you can trust? Then who knows how many secrets they've shared, or stories, or family things, that they know things
Yeah.
about their families that no one knows. When you tell those stories amongst best friends or colleagues or pals or lovers or whatever.
Lovers. Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
Lovers.
it's good that I'm sure that must have been devastating as it was to the nation itself. Um, that assassination, especially for his crew. And I don't know if you saw the special. Was it about the aftermath of the Kennedy assassination when with LBJ on the plane.
Right.
And right when they say the president's in the back, and the pilots of Air Force One said, "My president's in a box in the back." Remember, there was all this controversy after JFK was assassinated, right? Right between the Johnson camp and the Kennedy camp. Wasn't there some kind of
Oh,
friction?
of course. Yeah, yeah. People look. The Kennedys hated Lyndon Baines Johnson. They really hated him. They despised him. They thought he was a scumbag.
Yeah.
And they thought that their attitude towards Johnson was, look, he's one of our biggest
Hmm.
I wouldn't say enemies, but I mean he is one of our biggest rivals, and he is going to cause trouble. Not only that, LBJ represents the conservative Texas,
Yeah.
kind of Democrat, and we want to keep him on our side. We want to keep him quiet. So let's make him the vice president, and that'll give us Texas in the election, and it certainly did. And that was the whole reason for LBJ. And they hated him the whole time. They kept him busy. They sent him abroad. They sent him to all these godforsaken third world nations on busy work trips. And LBJ resented it tremendously. I mean, absolutely tremendously. Hated the Kennedys. He said, "Look, being vice president isn't worth a warm bucket of piss." That was a quote.
Really?
Yeah, he did, and he was absolutely right. He wanted to be president, and he really believed that his time had come and gone, because JFK was going to serve 2 terms, and then probably the country was going to go Republican again, as it ended up doing,
Yeah.
until something intervened, Billy.
Yes.
Until
and-
something intervened.
And that something took place in Dallas, didn't it?
It did, where all the best stuff takes place. I don't mean that was good, Billy. I don't mean that was a good thing. I just mean I really like Dallas, Texas. But he went on a trip. I mean, JFK went on a political expedition. Jackie came with him for the first time in a long time. They had just lost a child, the two of them as a couple. And they were both kind of heartsick, and they decided that JFK was going to quit philandering for a weekend and bring his wife out with him. So they all went to Texas, even though they were warned that the climate there was hostile towards the Kennedys, towards the Democrats. But the problem was that Governor Connolly, who was also a Democrat who hated Lyndon Baines Johnson, these two guys were fighting. Kennedy wanted to get there and sort of make amends between, Lyndon Baines Johnson, his faction of the Texas Democrat Party, and Governor Connolly, his faction of the Texas Democrat Party, and just kind of smooth things over for 1964. What ended up happening, of course, is that and the entire time they were there, the entire time during the trip, they were talking about all these crazy right-wingers. Everybody had these visions of Billy Tucci styled people upset with the Democrats who had, crossbows, bows and arrows, guns, weapons of all kinds, who might want to cause trouble. And this was all over the media. Media portrayed right-wingers as insane. The John Birch Society was out in force. Oh, my God. And then what happens?
Yeah.
What happens? Some punk-ass communist, as
Leftists,
always is. Some filthy communist, in a window with a broken Italian Mannlicher Carcano rifle, missile-line scope, fires 3 shots. The first one misses. The second one hits him in the back and exits his throat. And the third one just takes off the right portion of his skull. Immediately the media reported it the same way they do today. It must have been right-wingers. It must have been Trump supporters. It must have been, of course it was. I hope these right-wingers are happy they got their pound of flesh.
Is that true?
That is true. The first 2 hours after the assassination, before they brought in Lee Harvey Oswald and understood who he was, they were directly interviewing people on the street. Walter Cronkite talked about, the problems that, what's his name? The loser, the guy who lost against Atlee Stevenson. Stevenson. The problems that he had, he got spit on and whacked in the head with a sign by a crazed housewife when he went to Dallas. They were talking about how it was just, hey, right-wingers were just out of control. But of course, as usual, the media reports, hey, beware piranhas in this lake. You enter the lake and get eaten by an alligator. And that is exactly what happens today, every single time. Lee Harvey Oswald, filthy, despicable communist, made John F. Kennedy not a victim of the Civil War, not anything noble. He was a victim of the Cold War. And that is his sad legacy. One of the reasons why there's so much mystique around him, and why, our understanding of that time period has been so warped by the media of that day, the stories that they wrote, the way that they wrote them. I don't think people understand how serious the Cold War actually was.
Yeah.
And the toll that it took on the United States. So, I mean, look, Lee Harvey Oswald, who was he? Lee Harvey Oswald was just some punk-ass teenager in New York City at one point when he met crazed far-left wingers who were handing out pamphlets about, how the Rosenbergs were innocent and how this was a grave miscarriage of justice and they weren't even really communists or spies. And Lee Harvey Oswald picked that up and got furious, indoctrinated with far-left-wing communist blather, and became who he was, indoctrinated and eventually an assassin. Yeah. All of these lessons reverberate throughout history. The same kind of crap is happening right now on MSNBC and CNN, on a much wider scale.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's amazing how and in some sense, also on like Fox News and all that the journalism is turned. It really is a time of yellow journalism again. It's this resurgence, and they're advocates for a point of view or a political party or something like that, and it's crazy. I remember Peter Jennings, when he retired, said he was explaining that his job wasn't just to report the news, but to help people understand it. And I remember watching it, and I'm like, wait a minute, Peter Jennings. No, your job is to report the news. People can just report the damn news. You don't have to help them understand the news. Don't throw your what you think the news is. It's like Cronkite going to Vietnam, and he's there for 3 days, and then he declares that the war is lost in Vietnam with all his,
Devastating. Walter Cronkite, claimed to be impartial and claimed to be a journalist, or at least an impartial guy on TV. But I mean, even watching his initial response to the JFK assassination, whether he meant to or not, he immediately began steering it towards who he believed personally, without any evidence, was responsible for the killing, and that was right-wingers. He immediately started talking about Adlai Stevenson's trip and getting hit by the John Birch Society. So, I mean, when he actually found out it was Lee Harvey Oswald, he was stunned. All of these people have been, just the diabolical nature of leaking these ideas and pretending to be impartial, but leaking these ideas to the public who trust you. Yeah, it's been going on forever. At least now it's more overt, Billy.
Right. Oh yeah. Well, now there's no fear or anything like that. They fear no repercussions. Because the ends do justify the means, no matter what. So they can create a narrative, and I think the same thing's going on with the president. Is that their goal is that even if Trump is reelected in 2020, which I think he will. I really do. I think he's going to win in a bigger landslide than he did back in 2016. I think he'll garner at least 310 electoral votes. But even if he does win, they're creating a narrative that when people will go back, when people fast forward 30 years into the future, 20 years into the future, people will go back and look at all their newscasts. They will look at clips of all of it, and they're going to think that, wow, everyone hated this guy. And even if he is successful and proves to be a very successful president, which he seems to be really doing, he's addressing things, everything from unfair incarceration, you know what I mean, to to the economy, et cetera, with China. I mean, and it's true with China, how China's been taking advantage of us forever, and and someone's got to stand up to it. And so I welcome it. I I'm more of a middle of the roader type of guy, but I like to refer to myself as a constitutionalist.
100%.
Yeah. And we've had this conversation before, and I think I'm a very, very liberal guy, especially on social issues, as are a lot of my friends and the people that I grew up with. Because I don't know anyone that gives a crap who marries who. I don't know anyone. I don't associate with anyone like that. I really don't. So, so the things that really matter to America are these things like China. And yeah, man, okay, we get we'll get our cheap shit from Walmart for a little cheaper, And but what's that doing to the American worker? I love seeing. I've always owned an American car. Every automobile I've ever owned was an American car, and I find it a little bit hypocritical when you see people driving and they've got the sticker that says "Proud Union Family" or "Proudly Union," and they're driving a Hyundai. Why not support your United Auto Workers Union? Buy an American car. So that's just me. That's my little rant. But Niall, I sent you some photos.
You really want me to show those?
Yeah, I want you to show the photos because I want to get back to the assassination, the Kennedy assassination.
What did you send me photos on?
I sent you on message you.
Okay. Oh, you texted them to me.
Texted them to you via my computer.
Okay, so I'm gonna send them to my computer now.
Now, Ethan. Now I know that JFK only served for 3 years, right? A little over 3 years or so. Was he a successful president in your mind?
No, I wouldn't say he was a successful president. I think he actually wasn't a very successful president in a lot of ways. I think he did some good stuff, and I think that his optimism steered the country in the right way once more capable hands took over for him after his assassination. A lot of the stuff about him that we think of as amazing, the Cuban Missile Crisis and his handling of that was kind of his own fault. It was like he showed so much weakness as a president in the first year of his term that, so many people were emboldened. Our enemies were emboldened to take such strong action. Now is the time for Khrushchev to actually put those missiles in Cuba. Was such a ballsy move, and he only would have done it if he thought that he was dealing with a complete weakling, and that is the image that Kennedy portrayed or betrayed to Khrushchev in order to do that. But Kennedy handled it. We were almost annihilated as a nation. We really were, but at least we weren't. So are we successful? Kennedy brought us to the brink of nuclear annihilation, but we weren't. So. Right. I don't know what to say about that.
Now, in your humble opinion, what would the United States look like today if John Fitzgerald Kennedy was not assassinated in Dallas on the 22nd of November, 1963?
pretty much. I don't know. I think his presidency would have gone by pretty much unnoticed, and then would have swerved hard right in 1968. He
Really?
definitely
So
would have been reelected.
Do you
Yeah.
think that Reagan would have been the president in '68?
Uh, yeah. God, it's possible. I mean, I don't know if Reagan was ready to run for president. I think he needed to become California governor first, but it's possible Nixon. But I kind of feel like Nixon was elected in 1968 just because the Democrats' handling of the country for the prior 8 years had been so catastrophic, and Americans, at least from the perception of the American people, Kennedy's assassination was a deep wound. It felt crazy. It felt terrible. Lyndon Baines Johnson lied to get us into Indochina.
Yeah.
That was a disaster, and we seem to be losing these riots, these student riots in 1968, Bobby Kennedy's assassination, Martin Luther King's assassination.
Yeah.
Voting for Nixon was almost a way of saying, what if none of this happened? What if we could just take back 1960? What if we just tried it the other way?
Right.
And that's, I think, in my opinion, that's why Nixon won. But I mean, look, there were other people who could have become president, and we could have stayed democratic, and actually elected who was that racist dude?
Wallace.
Wallace. We could
Yeah.
have elected
He was a
Wallace.
Democrat, yeah. That's an asshole.
But I mean, again, that's another guy. I mean, everybody was getting assassinated in the 1960s. That guy was shot too.
Yeah, and another thing, what's interesting is that had Nixon not resigned and successfully served for 2 terms, the country would not have swung back to the right, I feel, with that Reagan revolution. I think that Nixon was a real moderate, the détente, the whole thing. And then I think because of Carter's, what he did, the abomination that was the Carter administration. I mean, and he's a good man. He really is a horrible president. But I think Reagan was a direct result of that. And that all spurned, there would be no Carter if Nixon hadn't done the Watergate thing.
Well, yeah. I mean, straight after LBJ, I mean, really just look at a straight line, from LBJ straight to Bill Clinton was pretty much nonstop, except for, Jimmy Carter briefly, nonstop Republicans, nonstop conservative rule over the country. And Jimmy Carter was just a reaction to, it was a way to punish the Republicans for Watergate.
Yeah.
So let's try it this way. And we elected a dude who saw UFOs and was attacked by swamp rabbits.
Yeah.
A guy who told people to wear sweaters and to save energy in the house. And he was just a weirdo. And everybody just had a horrible time. This guy couldn't get our hostages freed in Iran. Reagan shows up. I mean, how wonderful is it? Reagan shows up. They had so little respect for Jimmy Carter, the Iranians, that like the minute Reagan takes the oath of office or is about to, they decide, okay, now we can release the hostages.
Yeah.
And I don't think they did it out of fear. I think they did it out of spite for Carter. I think they went, we're going to let these people go, but not until it doesn't look like you did this.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah, the end. Vietnam was disastrous for the Democrats. I think that cost them 20 years, more than 20 years, 25 years of Republicans running the country.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I remember, and like people know where I stand on the thing. I feel that I am a libertarian constitutionalist, but I am more on the right for sure. But I'll tell you what happened with me is that I remember in school the whole Nixon debacle when I was a kid. And I remember when Jimmy Carter won. We even had a thing, a mock election in 4th grade for the election of 1976, in 5th grade it was. And Carter won in a landslide. I don't know if anyone voted for Nixon. Everyone voted for Carter. But I remember the gas lines. I remember the hostages. I remember growing up watching this in the next 4 years. And I remember election night 1980, and my father had passed away. My mother was raising 6 kids. It was myself, my brother Vinny, my sister Regina, and my brother-in-law Vinny, who was then her boyfriend at the time. They had just turned 18 or so, watching the election returns. And I remember it was almost, and they all voted for Reagan. My brother did, my sister did, my brother-in-law did, and my mom. And it was like a weight was lifted over the country. And maybe it could be something like when FDR was elected or something like that, that it was just this feeling of positivity and I saw my mother, the relief on my mother's face, that everything of how excited they were that he won. And it was like, because they were just, things were really bad for us. I mean, we were a lower middle class family, if you will. Again, my mother was raising 6 of us ourselves. And she struggled, and things weren't tough. Things were tough. I mean, heck, we ate macaroni every day. We had ronzoni and sauce every day. But I remember from that moment when that happened, and just this flurry of optimism, and pride. And I saw my mother change that night, and that really stuck with me for a long, long time, and still to this day. And I think the whole country felt that way. That's why there was that sweep and him coming in like, the cowboy, and I like cowboys. Who doesn't like a cowboy?
And then we got the 1980s, which was what, the single best period of time for comic books.
Yeah.
Single best period of time for everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the greatest stuff, the stuff that we still look back on. Really, what are we looking back on in the 90s? What are we looking back on now? All of the comics that we cherish. Tamagotchis. All the stuff that we really cherish, the stuff that lasts, that stands the test of time, and the standard bearers of the comic book, of just comic book history. Most of them seem to have happened in the 1980s. Watchmen, Dark Knight Returns, Killing Joke. Frank Miller's incredible.
Daredevil. Yep.
That whole class: Frank Miller, Walt Simonson, John Byrne. Alan Moore. Those guys were producing their best work in the 1980s, and so something must have been going right or wrong. At least I have no idea, what everyone's politics are, but great things happen. I actually talked to a couple people at DC who lived through that time, who worked through that time, and we're talking about how miserable they were, through the 1980s because they hated Reagan so much, which blows my mind. I don't understand how you can hate Reagan. But nevertheless, something about that seems to have created great work. And it kind of, you brought up FDR. It kind of makes me think about how miserable people were during the Great Depression. And yet comic books were invented during the Great Depression. And some of the best stuff, Bugs Bunny, the whole Termite Terrace, Warner Brothers crew, the Looney Tunes, Tom and Jerry, Popeye, all of these great characters, Superman, obviously, were created during the Great Depression when people were hungry or upset or motivated, more motivated in some way to do great stuff. What do people, the industry right now, I hear that these people are angry. What are they doing about it? What are these people creating other than just chaos? What are these people creating that's going to last? They're all trying to do I'm about to yell, Billy. They're all doing comics in order to escape comics. They're all doing comics to get into television, to get into movies. They don't really care about creating anything that lasts a long time, like Cyberfrog will in comics. They don't really care about that. And I find that distressing that this era of Trump, in which everyone's so divided and angsty, that's fine. We're allowed to be that. Nobody is doing anything really wonderfully memorable or creative, except for Brian.
Who? Polito?
No, Brian Blevins.
I was going to say. Now,
I don't even know how that
Double O
even-
Blevins. You gotta
happens.
get to know him, Ethan. This kid is a mystery.
He's
glad-
just sitting here quiet while me and Billy rant, and I'm sorry, guys.
I'm just glad Ethan knows my name.
Well,
it's
right there. So, now, Niall, I see
Yay, Brian!
photos. I want to get back to the JFK assassination, if I may,
He did it.
because I too am fascinated by this, by the Kennedy assassination.
Do you guys buy into these things, though? Any of the conspiracies that are out there? Or do you think it was
Well-
just a legit, just a legit assassination?
Ethan, would you like to do that while I get a book?
Everything the government said was correct about it. Yeah, I don't believe any of the conspiracies, and nothing's come out to suggest anything other than exactly what they said happened, and it's too bad because it would be way more interesting if that weren't the case.
Yeah.
But it was one dude, and people are like, how could he have done it? Well, I don't know, but he did it. He got lucky. It was an accident of history. One guy, and when you play that video game, as Billy plays a lot,
No, I don't.
you can.
He's really
He's like really
too
into
good
it.
at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he's
No, I don't.
The way he
He's
laughs
disturbingly-
playing it was just
yeah, he's disturbingly good at it.
yeah.
No,
You get it
first
done.
of
You
all,
can
no,
see.
I am not. I have not played that game since Heroes Con
He doesn't even look at the screen.
2009 when I was playing with Hunter.
Doesn't
So
even look
it's
at the screen.
360 no scope. 360 no scope.
No, well, it's I actually own that rifle, the Marcani, the Mannlicher Carcano, and that shot and EVS we visited in 2013 or early 2014.
Yeah.
January of 2014, we visited Dallas and spent 3 days down there following in the footsteps of one Lee Harvey Oswald, didn't we?
Well, yeah, we did, and you were up there on the 6th story.
Yep.
Exactly on the spot where Lee Harvey Oswald. Do you have that picture?
I don't have it. It's probably on one of my terabyte drives or something.
Yeah.
But and we looked at it, and there is no doubt in my mind that Lee Harvey Oswald isn't the only shooter. And because that shot was very doable. And if you remember, he didn't take a shot when Kennedy was coming towards him because, as you said, he was a punk. He couldn't face his victim. So he waited till Kennedy turned. And that first shot he missed because Kennedy was too close, actually. He had to bend down to shoot more. Kennedy came out, and Kennedy was now 6 stories below, but only about 50 yards away when he took the second shot. And that's what the one that went through his back, right through the back of his neck and through his throat, and hit Connolly. And then the third shot, of course, which was the killing shot, which took off a piece of his skull, and of course they raced away. But and I think that there's no I was especially that he's a Marine, he was a marksman. I don't see how he could not make that shot. But I'm very curious about a few things. Speaking about the conspiracies, and Niall, could you post those 2 photos I put up there, please? Okay.
Yeah.
Look at the car, right? Now, could we play the other car first? The other shot first?
I can't see it yet.
you-
I see it.
Okay.
I see it. Yeah, okay.
Can we post the black and white photo up, Niall? There you go. Interesting, and I know JFK wanted people to see him with the top down, but the car in the front, the limousine in front, topless, as was the second car,
Too
is the
bad
car
Jackie
that
wasn't. Yeah.
right that you see is the car holding the president and Governor Connolly.
Right.
There are no Secret Service agents on that car, even in the back. Look at Lyndon Baines, the vice president's car. There are 4 guys on that, and if you look at the picture closer, I think there are 2 in the back of it too, walking up close.
Right.
So LBJ has at least 4 security guards riding on his car.
Yeah.
And the president is totally exposed. The second picture, and if we could post that one, Niall, in the same size, if you could zoom in on that picture of a smiling JFK moments, right, before the assassination. What I always found interesting is look at the car door where John Connolly is. It's not closed. Is that for Connolly to easily get access out of that car if anything happened? Why is that door not closed?
Boom, boom, boom.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I never looked at that.
That door is not closed. Look at it. You
Yeah.
can see the hinges
Yeah.
on both the inside and that, and you can compare it to the cover.
Yeah, if you look here, the trim. The chrome trim isn't lined up. The door is ajar. It's
right,
open.
and compare it to the front door. which
How
obviously
great is that? I never looked at the reflections there, but I mean, you can see,
Enhance.
you see where he is.
Enhance.
He's at the airport, right?
He's at the airport.
Enhance.
You can see his airplane there.
Yeah.
That's
You can see.
insane.
How about that? I never
Crazy.
looked at that.
So that's why all of these, the men who killed Kennedy, and I have these books, and I wish I was thinking about bringing this up, and I'm so excited that you came on, because I love talking about these things.
Oh, I
And
love it too.
and maybe this could be a conversation for November, if you wouldn't mind coming back, and we get a couple of other people that may be JFK aficionados, and 1960s. We could talk about the 1960s and all, which was
Nobody's
another.
as nutty as us about it, though.
Yeah, that's probably true. That's true.
Yeah, probably.
But
What about
I-
the moon
I-
landing, huh?
And I love
That was
the idea,
something.
though, that they took. I love the idea how Lyndon Johnson, they wanted to bury him, and because he was so powerful in the Senate, and that was not, and that was and to have an ally, because he would have been JFK's adversary if he was, the leader of the Senate. What I also that is so similar though to what McKinley did, and Boss Tweed, head of the Republican Party in 1900. And that was this week in 1901. This week in 1901, our 25th president of the United States, William McKinley, was assassinated, paving the road for Theodore Roosevelt, my favorite president, who was on my desk. And Theodore Roosevelt was such a troublemaker as a governor of New York State that Boss Tweed wanted to watch Roosevelt take the veil and bury him in the vice presidency, because that was a graveyard for for political aspirations, and his effectively neutering Theodore Roosevelt. And someone had said, "You realize that there is only one life between this madman and the presidency of the United States?" And that was on an election. That was in 1901 in January. And who would have known 9 months later, that 42-year upstart New York cowboy was now the most powerful man in the Western Hemisphere.
Oh, look at Harry Truman. Same. I mean,
Yeah.
Harry Truman was never meant to be president of the United States. That guy was George W. Bush. Harry Truman was funny.
Yeah.
That guy his wife cucked him every night. Like, Harry Truman, was loved his wife. His wife thought he was pretty much pretty boring. Wasn't really into him, and his whole entire life was about trying to get his wife to love him. You could see everything was a temper tantrum with him. Seriously, I don't, think about the decision of bombing Japan twice, and he wanted to do it a third time. You have to understand,
But he only had two at the time.
he was ready to go. He was ready to keep doing it. It's like, he was like, yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Hey, there's a hydrogen bomb possibly. Why aren't we building that? That's who he was. And he was just like, I don't know. There's so much kind of anger and sort of misguided he ended up kind of doing things properly, but there's so much anger about him and sort of misguided, super big choices that he seemed to make a little too quickly. You can't picture Obama. Obama would have spent 7 months trying to decide if it was time to bomb the Japanese. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. So interesting. Well, that is again. I love history, so I love this stuff. And I just find this so fascinating and so much fun. And thank you for coming on with us. This is just great. And joining in our beards, Blevins, and Ballyhoo.
Yes, I want to apologize for making it not about. I tried to steer back to comics, but Billy really wants to talk about JFK. Billy, just come on my channel. We'll talk about JFK sometime.
I wish I knew information like you guys did about that. I mean, it's definitely very fascinating, and I just, I've not looked into it like you guys have, but it is very awesome to hear you guys talk. It's always good to hear people talk that know and have done the research. So
the passion is what gives me the goose pimples.
100%.
Well, here's something interesting. EBS is that Blevins had dinner with former President Bill Clinton last night.
Is that right?
It was after. It wasn't last night. It was 2 nights ago.
Wednesday night, right?
Oh,
Yeah, absolutely. he was here introducing Ruth Bader Ginsburg. She had a big deal at Verizon Arena, and there was a after dinner the next day.
What did she have at Verizon Arena?
What did they have for dinner?
It was just part of her deal.
Like, what is that?
He just
What did
Say
they
what?
have at her? Like, was she in a boxing ring in the center? Like, is it like?
no,
I totally
she was.
thought you were gonna
She
say,
was
was
there
she in
just
a box?
speaking about,
Right?
speaking about women empowerment and stuff like that. I mean,
Were there a lot of people there?
yeah, Verizon Arena was super full.
Really?
Wow.
And so
Yeah, it
you
was
got
crazy.
to have dinner with him. Did you get to meet him and everything?
Yeah, I mean, I got to meet him, but it wasn't like it was me and him sitting across a candlelight dinner or anything.
Yeah, you sat two
Like, it's
people away.
Two people
there was only
away.
one- yeah.
Did your feet touch under the table?
I don't know that was his foot that I touched.
Ah.
No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. But yeah, I mean, it's an interesting. It definitely was an interesting situation to be in for sure. Stuff like that.
Oh, jeez.
I mean, yeah, it was awesome.
Did you ask him how many people he killed?
No,
James
no,
Hayes
it's not a
says,
good
"Hope you
dinner."
don't make another notch on the Clinton body count, Brian."
Oh, you guys are ridiculous.
God, give that man a suicide.
Yeah. Oh shit.
I have never met a president. Jimmy Carter was out signing books one time, and I really thought about going to meet him, and then I went, "He's not a real president." Like, I'm waiting for, you know.
But imagine you met that would have been great to meet him. I'd meet him.
What, Jimmy
I don't like
Carter?
Bill Clinton, so I don't think I'd ever want to meet Bill Clinton, to be perfectly honest with you. I just don't
Yeah.
like him as a human being. I don't like him at all. So
I guess I would meet W, but you know, I don't know, and you know, of all the living presidents, I mean, you know, we lost George H.W. I would have liked to have met him.
Mhm.
Of all the living presidents, there's Carter, you know, Bush, Jr., Obama, and then Trump is current. Out of the three that are still around, you know, who do you want to meet? I guess it's W.
Yeah, I guess so, right?
Yeah,
These
yeah,
are
definitely.
not substantial men. You know, I just.
yeah. Yeah,
Drew,
he's just
aka
kind of.
Mr. E, met Reagan when he was 10.
Who did?
Drew, aka Mr. E,
Really?
a regular to our show.
Nice.
Yeah.
God, that's amazing.
It's nice. That's awesome. Oh, that's Drew. Okay, Mr. E. That's awesome. Well done, Drew.
Do
for
you
you,
think
man.
Trump is going to? I mean, listen, Reagan. I don't remember because I wasn't an adult. I thought Reagan was a wonderful president. He was
Yes,
my president all through my grade school years, and I didn't understand. But I know people hated him. Now, you know, with the benefit of hindsight and looking at history, I wonder if Trump is going to fare anywhere near as well. You know, once his 16 years as president are up and he finally leaves office.
Yeah, I don't think so. I also don't think he really gives a crap.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think he cares. I really don't. And I can't see him. I mean, like I said, Reagan was beloved. Of everyone I knew, loved him for the most part. I grew up in suburban Long Island, so we were all hard hat, lunch pail, kids. That's what our families did. A lot of the families were cops. Fathers were cops. It was a really great, diverse town that I grew up in. It was wonderful where I grew up in. But I mean, and still to this day, I remember when Reagan died, and how many of my friends, the rekindling of conversation with so many people I grew up with. And just that love of Reagan. I mean, I remember that there's that amazing picture of that young Marine crying, saluting as the car drove by, as the hearse drove by, and it was just, and I really think that really caught the press off guard, because they could not understand how beloved he was, and he was truly an American icon, I feel. And he's one of my favorite. I got my little guys that I like. I got my Churchill, my Winston Churchill.
Oh, legend.
Right.
Nice.
I've got my Theodore Roosevelt, of course, but he kind of looks like Taft. And if you open up his head, there's a little teddy bear in there. So,
Oh, nice.
That's neat.
and then my three wise men, I call them, and then old Ronnie Reagan. Well,
It's Reagan.
I don't know. Someone got me this. I think Daddy got me this years ago. These little guys. So that's my. But I think Reagan still to this day is beloved. Trump. Not so much. I don't think he'll fare anywhere near as well. But then again, I also don't think Donald Trump cares. But another thing, I think Donald Trump if Donald Trump went down as one of the greatest presidents in history of the United States, and so much was accomplished during his 2 terms in office, I don't think the press, they're too far gone in their derangement and their hatred of him that they'll never give him credit where credit is due ever.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah, but once he's out of office and he's no longer a threat. See, the problem with Trump is not Trump. It's not that Trump is the real problem. The real problem is Ruth Bader Ginsburg. That is the situation. Trump, by winning this, it wouldn't matter if Gandhi had won this presidency as a Republican. It's the prize that came along with it. It was all of the judges that were going to get to be appointed during this term and the next one. And that's what they were counting on. I mean, getting this election won and then completely changing the United States forever, by appointing another couple of super left-wing justices to the Supreme Court. That would have changed the landscape of the United States forever. And some bozo, in their opinion, some Republican bozo, won it instead and saved the country. Just utterly saved the country. And it's a complete fluke of history. These people were talking about how it could not happen. The demographics had changed everything. These people stacked their demographics in deep blue countries. And didn't realize how the rest of the country was feeling.
Right.
But the consequences of Trump winning the election have nothing to do with Trump being an idiot or Trump being dumb or Trump being racist or any of those things. That's just invective being hurled by lunatics who realize that this election cost them the country. It's pretty amazing. I think that once he leaves, and the damage having been assessed by the left, like what exactly is the lay of the land? By the way, if Trump loses next year, his reputation will already be on its way to healing, especially if Ruth Bader Ginsburg survives into the next term, which would be Democratic. They'll immediately forget about him, just the same way George W. Bush was, considered to be the worst human being on the face of the earth, and they're already kind of fond of him now.
Yeah.
Time heals all wounds.
Well, that's what happens with all the presidents, though. Like, everyone's like, they just, they hate him, and then, after the next president or another one comes through, it's like, he really wasn't that bad.
Yeah, well, not Nixon, though. Nixon, until Pat Nixon passed away, and people saw him crying at her funeral and all, he was still vilified.
Well,
Nixon, I feel.
Well, he's
you're right about that.
Yep. He's got a lot of scandal, that one.
Yeah, he was a paranoid. I guess when you beat someone down so much, and you talk about just the negatives that were thrown at him. I mean, the press just hated him. They hated the way he looked. They hated where he came from. And again, he was a moderate. You look at his policies and Kennedy's policies, and they are parallel completely.
He created the EPA. He is, he's a perfect example of why it doesn't matter if you apologize to the left. It's like they'll still hate you. You can give in to them every single way possible, and Nixon certainly did. He went to China.
Yeah.
And it's like they still saw him as a monster and still vilify him. And you're exactly right about that.
Well, look what happened to with George Bush when when he worked with Ted Kennedy, and they raised taxes. He crossed the aisle, worked with the Democrats, and then they just destroyed him in the 92 election.
Yeah.
Doing that very thing, trying to reach across the aisle and working with the opposition. And they did, and he lost the election. And the country was well on its way into recovery during that election. But they weren't going to cover that.
Bastards.
Yeah, bastards. So.
Unbelievable.
Well, thank you guys. I will say goodnight to you.
Thanks, my friend.
Well, before you go, Ethan, how's everything going with your campaigns?
Yeah.
Let's see. I've got a Vampirella campaign going right now that is right around. Let me look real quick. Almost at $35,000 for another Vampirella cover. 2 days left on it, and I'm going to. I'll probably extend it another 30 days, Billy. I'll do that.
Nice.
Cyberfrog Blood Honey is well, any second now. We're going to be fulfilling, from what I understand. Waiting
Excellent.
for the books are all together. The books are headed my way, and I'm desperately looking forward to shipping these books out to people. And I really can't wait. I just hung up they sent me over an uncut sheet of chromium covers just to show what the final things would look like with the acetate layer over them.
Nice.
They're just so beautiful. I mean, honestly, this is the most beautiful comic that I think has ever been crowdfunded. It really is. Will it be worth the wait? I guess that's up to people to decide. But I put my heart into it. I think it's really, really, really good. And we learned a lot of lessons from this. Billy, I've never put together a comic before. I know you do it all the time. This isn't something that I'm good at. So learned a few things.
Yeah, no, it's not easy, and we've had this, everybody with the shipping and all, and people don't realize how expensive it is. And I mean, and you had over 8,000 or almost 9,000 backers.
Mm-hmm.
That's
more than that. We're printing 20,000 copies of this book, and I think we sold somewhere around 17,000.
Wow.
Of Cyberfrog Blood Honey. We are thinking about. I'm thinking about going through the direct market next year. As soon as Wrecked Planet is finished, which is the follow-up sequel to Cyberfrog, I'm thinking about taking all caps comics straight into the mainstream.
You definitely should.
Nice.
Definitely.
Bring
Ethan,
a couple of people with me,
Yeah, Ethan, if you don't mind me asking, like when you have like a huge successful campaign like that, and you have worked with with the big names, do they ever come to you and be like, "Hey, man, we see the success you do. Would you like to do something? Would you like to move that over to us?" Like, do you ever get contacted by them and them ask if you want to bring stuff over?
Short answer, yes, but just not often enough. I really think that the comic book industry is terrified of me. That's what I think. I think they are alternately terrified of me and hate me, and everyone has their own reasons for that. But it doesn't matter. Eventually, this is all, my firm belief, my conviction is that everybody's going to be doing what the purpose of this channel is. Everybody's going to be forced into doing this very soon.
Yeah.
If you want to put out comic books, the direct market long term just isn't going to be here, and these big companies aren't going to be viable within a handful of years. So people do have to learn, and people are still going to want to read comics. So we're just going to have to shrink the industry and change the way that we do things. Right. So I'm not worried about other people coming to me and wanting to be a part of this. It's not. It doesn't serve my interests to ever go back and really, work for DC or Marvel ever again. However, I do want to get Cyberfrog Blood Honey into comic shops because. There's still going to be people who don't even understand what crowdfunding is.
Correct.
Who are, if I can sell 1,000 copies of Cyberfrog through the direct market, I think I should do that. Think small and just see. Look, we've already sold 16,000, but let's offer them this way as well, and just get this book into the hands of as many people as possible.
Yeah, and you will.
It's a business, man. You got to get it in every channel you can get it in. Because then that's going to bring those people to your next crowdfunding project. If they like the book in the comic shop, then they're going to follow what you're doing. You know?
Yeah. And let me tell you, the retailers will appreciate too, because this is money that they'll work for. They don't have to really do this big push to help promote your book because of all the promotion you do.
We've already done it. Everybody,
you've already done it.
People are going to be picking up Cyberfrog out of curiosity. Everybody knows it. I mean, Cyberfrog is infamous right now, for so many different reasons. And, there's going to be a curiosity. I feel awful for retailers. I think retailers have been victimized by this industry. Yes. And I worry about them. Sometimes it's like I realize that, it is necessary that we do try to put our books into their hands somehow. But I don't want to be a part of the problem. And I think, retailers get the short end of the stick from their customers when their customers don't pick up the books that they ordered. We've seen that happen. Yeah. But the big thing is they're being exploited and manipulated and used by the big two, by the entire industry, who only need to convince them to purchase the product. The big two
Right.
are not thinking with customers in mind, because we are not the customers of DC and Marvel and Image.
Right.
The retailers are. So they're only trying to trick the retailers into purchasing this product. So these poor guys, I mean, they have to stay vigilant. They have to work really hard to make sure that they only order enough to sell through, because the other thing is comic books have become like bread. They go stale now. These comics are unsellable after 60 days of sitting on the stands.
Yes.
So they're paying what, $2.50 for a $4 book to put it on their stands in order to hopefully earn $1.50, and it's just it's a mess. It's just
by
a
the
mess.
thousands, and they're buying them by the thousand.
Yeah.
It's almost extortion what's happening with the big two. But another cool thing though, which can give you the edge, and a lot of you guys out there, you indie publishers, is that with your book done now, EVS, is that you can offer a guaranteed in-store ship date, and you say this book will be delivered to you. The book is already done. You send them a preview copy, a special one or something like that, and you tell them this book will be on your shelf on April 15th. You know what I mean? Or heck, go the first Wednesday in April, April 3rd, 2020. This book will be in your store, and that can only help you because the retailers will know that their books, that the book will be there. Because a lot of times too, and I've been guilty of this back in the day, that you solicit a book, if it's an April book, it doesn't ship till the end of May.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, because it's a lot of work putting together a comic book, as you know. And anyone else out there who's put out a book, it's a lot of work. It's doable. The rewards justify all the hard work of actually having your own comic book, but it's not easy, because if it was, everyone would be doing it. But,
yeah, it is. Drawing and writing this many pages is an awful lot of work.
Yeah.
You know, especially when it's important to you. When you're working for Marvel or DC, I think that you can kind of goof off a little bit and sort of just half-ass some of your work. But when you're working for yourself and this book is actually important to you, it doesn't make sense to do that.
yes.
You know.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about Sheep, pal. I can't wait.
So am I. We're launching in October, so I'm pumped. It's and being that I'll be working on it all weekend.
Yes.
And fixing a sink.
Oh man. I gotta say, I love drawing. I'm back to it. I went through a thing where I just was like, I don't want to do. Now I'm like doing a lot less broadcasting, and I'm just sitting here. I wake up in the morning, come downstairs. I'm excited about what I'm drawing, and you know, it's good. I'm actually feeling like being a comic book artist a little bit more again. So
yeah, pretty
get ready.
great.
You're pretty good at that, so it's not a bad thing, right?
Yeah.
And what are you working on now? I mean, what's your next project?
Rainbow the Brute.
Yes.
Rainbow the Brute.
Rainbow the Brute. Now, do you want to give us a little insight on that, or do you got to go? Because we don't want to hold you. We appreciate you coming on.
Well, I'm going to tell people about Rainbow the Brute. I mean, I want to do that. So, Rainbow the Brute is basically it's a parody. Let me just say that it is a parody, and that is first and foremost. But what it is it's about a world in which all of the girls' toy properties from the 1980s have been reimagined to be high testosterone male toy properties that exist over the rainbow, et cetera, et cetera. This book is going to be an answer to the feminization of superhero, pop culture right now. Women have pretty much taken over it and changed it, I think, for the worse. There's a whole study, by the way, guys, that Lego made, because Lego couldn't understand. Lego couldn't figure out why it was that boys loved their toys, but girls didn't love Legos. They didn't buy Legos, and they wanted to figure out what the difference was between the way girls played with toys and boys played with toys, because that was going to answer a lot of questions towards how they were going to market their toys more towards girls. And what they did over the course of 3 years, studying 2,500 children and their parents, both genders, what they learned was that boys and girls are completely wired differently with the way they play. They would give them, a sort of Lego action figure, whether it was Batman or any other character, and boys are hardwired to become the character they're playing with.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the thing. It's like if they're holding a Batman action figure, suddenly the little boy is Batman, and he thinks he's Batman, and he becomes Batman, the character that he's playing with. Girls are the opposite. Girls project themselves onto the toy. So if it's Batman that they're playing with, suddenly Batman is bitching and acting like a little girl because that's how girls sort of play with toys. Everything becomes them. So Lego learned from this that, we want to make the, boys' versions of Legos to have these established heroes that allow the boys to become these established characters. And then the girls' Legos are just going to be very blank, archetypes of men and women, kind of like Barbie. It's like Barbie. Who the hell is Barbie? Barbie doesn't have a personality. Barbie is whoever the girl is that's playing with Barbie.
Yes.
That's why
yes.
it works.
Yes.
So Lego.
Like the American Girl doll store and how huge American Girl dolls are. You're going to learn about that soon if you haven't already.
Yeah. Those American Girl dolls are. So that's that's the way girls play. So girls come into comics. And they start. They write comics, unfortunately, the same way that they've been programmed. They learned to play with toys as kids. They start to project themselves onto these characters that already exist in all of our minds. And so there's this really strange thing that happens when boys read a comic book about a character that they already know that's being written by a woman who is projecting themselves onto that character. And now the boy is going, this is weird. I'm reading this and I don't want to, this character feels weird to me. That's because it's Plastic Man as being written by, somebody like Gail Simone, and Gail's writing her sense of humor through Plastic Man. It just feels weird. So that is the big thing. That this conflict is happening all over pop culture right now. And people don't know why it's happening, but I do believe that this is the friction, the electricity that makes this into a conflict. The very basic nature of the way boys play with toys versus girls. So let's do that. Let's do that to them. Let's go into all of these girls' toys properties. My Little Pony becomes My Girthy Stallion. We're going to take the Cabbage Patch Kids. Rainbow Bright becomes Rainbow Brute.
Right.
And just make this into the Care Bears become the Emo Grizzlies, these nasty, vicious, emotionally manipulative bastards, that project and all over you. So this is what Rainbow the Brute is going to be, and it's just going to start out very simply with the little boy coming home from school, and his big sister has gotten into his He-Mans and put lipstick and dresses all over them, and it ruined all of his toys. And she's just like, just get over it. I'm playing with your toys. What's the big deal, you sissy? And he's just so angry. He goes into her room, and his imagination kind of, goes over the rainbow.
Now, are there the female characters? What about the I'm sorry, not the female toys? What about the male toys like G.I. Joes? Do they swap genders too, and do they become?
No, they don't exist. This is a world of girls' toys.
Because he's in her room, I guess.
Yeah, he's just playing with her stuff and he's making it cool. So he's got, but I mean, strawberry shortcake women don't become men. They just become beautiful, sexy enchantresses that, seduce men with baked goods. Which would work on me, frankly.
Wow, that's a great idea.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting.
See it as an animated show. Oh my!
That's what I'm thinking, right?
Wow.
So this is
Adult
Rainbow
Slim.
the Brute. It's going to be it's going to be a pretty interesting project. I've changed it to Rainbow the Brute. We're launching it in a new way. I'm going to launch the first initial run of it in these premium tin briefcases. So you will be able to get this, and I don't think anybody's done this yet. I mean, people, release these comics in various ways, but you're going to be able to get everything for the campaign, everything that's on offer, in a kind of flattened out lunchbox with Rainbow the Brute art printed all over it, puffed out and everything, with a handy carrying case and everything like that. And I think this is the way I'm going to release my comics from here on out. They're going to be almost like steelbook editions. Everything carryable in one briefcase with a PVC of Rainbow Brute or a plush emo grizzly hanging off the handle.
Wow. And you're
Oh, that's cool, man.
That's awesome.
Drawing Rainbow the Brute as well?
I'm drawing it. I'm writing it. Cecil is helping me. He's going to punch up the dialogue to make it funnier. And it's going to be a great time. We're going to go through the 1980s, and we are going to release. We're going to figure out how they did it, and we're going to do our versions of all of the stuff that girls liked in the 80s. And I had sisters. I had 4 sisters, so I lived through it. And I remember the scratch and sniff stickers. We're going to make scratch and sniff Rainbow Brute stickers that smell like beer. And
Nice.
you know, I mean, it's going to be. We're going to do stuff like that. We're going to have. We're talking about doing tactical trapper keepers that you can actually hold weapons in, or something like that. Just trapper keepers, tactical trapper keepers for men. You know, that kind of thing. It's just going to be a big, silly campaign that's going to be over the top and an awful lot of fun with a lot of features for people to want to pick up.
Yeah, and it's got to be funny though. You do, like I said, it's good bringing someone else in. You think that could really punch up the dialogue and the humor because it's got to be funny. You got to have that, that sense of humor.
Rainbow Brute, if you picture him, he's short. He's only 6 inches tall. Picture a cross between a pissed off Irish leprechaun and Popeye in the early version of Popeye, just mumbling angry shit in Irish, under his breath, drunk.
And what is your time frame to launch Rainbow?
Well, I want to make sure. First of all, Cyberfrog Blood Honey's got to be underway. I need to get prototypes of everything that I want finished. I want to get at least like 8 pages of Rainbow Brute finished first. I don't want to fall into the same traps. Cyberfrog Blood Honey was just like, this is my epic, and it ended up taking a year. So Rainbow Brute's got to be a much quicker campaign. I'm going to keep it at 48 pages. It's not going to blow up past that. Billy, one thing that happened to me is I made this book 80 pages, and what I didn't realize was that the Chromium people who did the cover said, we can't, like, that's really hard to put a Chromium cover on 80 pages. Can you make it 56? And I said, no. So that was a big holdup. That was like a 3-week holdup trying to get them to figure out a way to bind Chromium to a big, thick comic book like that. This time I'm just going to keep it that way. 48 pages of story and art, 56 pages total, and then just do like Rainbow Spectrum Dazzler covers, things like that. Just everything has to be top of the line. All caps comics are going to be the Lamborghinis of comics, just all the bells and whistles, the best looking comics. And, I think that's why people pay a premium for them.
Yeah. Now, all caps comics. I think you're smart by exploring the idea of putting it in comic shops. I definitely think you should. I don't think you have anything to lose by doing so. But you're going to have your Indiegogo campaigns. Are you looking at putting out one new comic per year because of all the work it is, and you're doing so much yourself, or 2, like maybe a Cyber Frog and a Rainbow the Brute, or another title? Like, how many titles what's your goal that you think you could produce and like for 2020, you know what I mean, or 2021, looking ahead?
Stuff like that. Well, I would like to do Rainbow Brute now. I'd like to get that done and maybe shipped completed by February of 2020, and then shipping however long shipping is going to take. That's not something I'm going to concern myself with as a creative person. Right. I'll put that in other people's hands. But I'm going to do Cyberfrog Wrecked Planet next year. That's going to be my main focus. And then All Caps Comics is going to branch out. I'm going to be doing a book called Fearsome, which is a horror superhero book about narcolepsy that I'm going to have Kanan White draw. And then I've got this other project called Bastardized that DC was once going to publish. I actually have it. Most of it's finished already. So I'm going to publish that myself under All Caps Comics. That's a book about it's kind of another zombie plague book, but instead of zombies, people just become brutal and rude and awful and violent to each other. So people essentially become bastards, and they become caveman type troglodytes who just have lost their humanity. And those people who have not succumbed yet do everything they can to remain civil. I want to listen to classical music. I need to read all the great comics, all the great comics, all the great books, all the great literature. I need to just eat the best food because I don't want to become them.
Yes.
And if they find you, they laugh and beat the hell out of you. They're vulgar, and that's what most of civilization has become. So that book is called Bastardized, and I want to launch that one in 2020 as well. So All Caps Comics should have, at that point, 4 titles.
Hot damn.
Nice.
Good for you, buddy.
Yeah,
And great.
It's pretty incredible.
Wow, I hope
Yeah,
you guys like it.
Yeah, no, and something else I know that you were interested in. I know you were a big autograph collector.
Yeah.
And I know we had the passing of the astonishingly beautiful Carol Lindley, who passed away at 77 this week.
Oh shit! I didn't know that.
Yeah, she would remember. If you remember her, she sang. She was "There Has to Be a Morning After." Remember her singing that in the Poseidon Adventure.
I don't know if she sang that. I don't know if that was her.
Singer in it?
I'm not sure if that was her voice. She was in the Poseidon Adventure, but I don't think she was the singer. Carol Lindley was in a bunch of movies. She was in Peyton Place or The Return of Peyton Place.
Yeah.
She's in a bunch of things. She's a sweet lady. I knew her.
Oh, really? Yeah, she passed away at 77. I'm looking at it right now. She was she earned a Golden Globe nomination as a newcomer for the 1959 film Blue Denim, about a teenager seeking an abortion.
Yeah.
It was a role she originated on Broadway, so she had the acting chops as well. I mean, and it's just sad. She passed away. I don't know if she had cancer or something like that, but
She was she's 77 is not very old. She was a beautiful woman. Here's a picture of me with Carol Lindley. Hold on a second. And you won't even old age sucks so bad, Billy. It's the worst thing on the face of the earth. Hold on a second. Oh my God. Life just isn't fair, man.
It isn't fair.
No,
it is
not at all.
And I get to know all these people. I watch them, on in TV and movies and everything like that, vintage, when they're in their prime, and then you actually meet them and spend time with them, and you're just like, it doesnrought work on your heart, work on being a good person, because the looks do not last, they just, they don't last. I was watching Groucho Marx, and he had a young 19-year-old Joy Harmon on, and I kind of found out when I was in LA that Joy Harmon, who was an actress in a lot of B movies and everything, she opened a bakery, and she was so beautiful. Groucho Marx was quite taken with her, and I think possibly tried to get with her because he kept putting her in all his shows after he met her on You Bet Your Life.
Right.
She's so beautiful, and I met her. I went to her bakery. I said, "Do you mind if I come in and meet you? I'm a fan." And she said, "Okay." She came out, and it was just like, oh, life just isn't fair. All right, here's.
Where was her bakery, or where's the bakery? Like,
it's in California. It's in Los Angeles. It's you could just look up Joy Harmon Bakery, and you'll find the address. It's public, and I was able to bring some stuff and get her to sign it for me, which was super nice of her. I mean, but yeah, I was just like, oh, you poor. Can I have a hug? Oh. My God, mortality. It's like so sad.
Did you message Niall that photo?
Yeah, I just sent it over to both of you
Oh,
guys.
look at her there, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Let me send you a picture of how she looked, when she was an actress. You could probably just call one of those up, but she was an absolutely, that was when I first met her. She absolutely beautiful actress, and she didn't look well. When I met her, but
that's sad. Well, we're looking forward to having you back on. We're also going to do a Rob Granito hunt and see where are they now episode.
I'd be interested in knowing that myself. I'll watch.
I'm fascinated by the saga of Rob Granito. I don't know if you guys are familiar with him, who he was or is. Hopefully, he's still with us. We don't
I hope so.
We don't wish anything ill on anyone. But Ethan, thank you so much for coming on and joining our little show here. We know how big your show is, and you're taking away money from yourself and for your family to talk everything from JFK to to 80s comics to 90s comics to actresses who've passed away and left us. But we also talked a lot about publishing, and we appreciate that. You gave an insight on what you're doing, what the plan for All Caps Comics is. And, you know, it's just, it's good to talk to you, buddy. It really is.
Yeah,
It's my pleasure.
thanks for
Thank you,
joining
Billy,
us.
Niall, and Brian. Thank you so much.
Dude, awesome.
What?
You all
Brian,
right?
what?
Brian,
Oh,
you
I was
okay?
just saying. I watch. Yeah, it's just crazy. You know, I watch all his videos when I love all the Star Wars stuff. I mean, I love how he just destroys, you know, these people, and it's just, I don't know. It's just awesome to have you on. That's
Thanks, brother. I'll see you guys
Yeah.
again soon.
You
All
got
right.
to get a Fandom Menace shirt, Blevins.
Definitely.
Yeah. All right, guys. Good night.
All right, have a good night,
Ethan.
Ethan.
Thanks a lot,
Thanks.
buddy. So is he going to disappear like bloop?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, this is pretty great. This is fun.
yeah.
A little impromptu, you know, get together with our with one of the, you know, the biggest and bigger, one of the bigger names of comics in the past 10 years. You know, I've always known him. I've been friends with him for 25 years almost, and he's just always a joy to have on.
Yeah, he's such a good
yeah.
dude. I love listening to him talk.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yep.
much information, so much passion. You know, whether
Yep.
it's comics, history, or you know, key lime pies, whatever it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
He really is eloquent and elegant. Both. He's got
Elegant.
it all. Elegant and eloquent.
Well, that's what I love about this show, Niall. I love it that everyone is welcome onto our show.
Yeah, everyone is welcome.
We don't have time for BS. We don't have time for negativity. And
No time.
you know, we've had some episodes, haven't we, Niall? With there was some negativity going, and like, okay, well, that's it for the show. You know, let's,
You know, if you don't like our guests, you don't like our guests. I mean, but again, you know, we're about crowdfunding comics, man. We're about everyone telling their story, you know, and learning. Right?
actually, Vinny,
Right?
remember everyone laughing my Halloween kid book campaign tomorrow, Billy. Vinny,
nice.
Vinny T's has a new book launching tomorrow.
Very good.
Let us
Make
know
sure we're
about that,
tagged in
folks.
everything, man. Keep us tagged in it. We'll spread the word.
All right, guys, this was fantastic sitting here with you. Niall, I'll give you a call in a minute. I got to talk to you about something.
All right.
Well, I want you to help me with my OBS. That's why. I want to put you to work.
Yes, son of a gun.
Well, you know, I want the Blevins Media Center to be running, you know, firing on all cylinders. And as it is, it is. How's my audio coming through? Okay.
Oh yeah, it's great.
You've been muted the whole time. Everyone's like, "What's up with Billy?"
Why is he not saying anything?
Yeah. He's
The Ghostly
he's
Manor on Howling Hill. That's a fantastic title, Vinny. And we'll definitely have you back on for that. So, all right,
Definitely,
everyone.
man.
Thank
All
you
right,
guys
everyone.
out there.
Thank you. And hey, we'll be on Tuesday. We'll be on Tuesday with Philip Diaz and the wonderful Mandy Summers is going to be filling in for Mr. Tucci. She'll be co-hosting with me as we welcome on. And you know, well, I don't know, maybe we'll have Mr. Blevins around as well. Who knows? You
Yeah,
know?
Who knows?
It's my wife.
Mandy is definitely the best.
Yes, she
Sorry.
is. It is Debbie and I's 20th anniversary, wedding anniversary. I guess it should have been our 25th, but I was, you know, I'm like, I don't know if I want to get married, blah, blah, blah. And then, which was stupid of me. It was the best decision I ever made in my life. I guess
I
that's
think
what
she's a
happened.
keeper.
Yeah, she's a keeper. I'll keep her. But so it's our 20th anniversary. We didn't know what we were gonna do. We got married at this amazing place called Ohika Castle. Well, the plan was for us to actually go out to Shelter Island, which is a place I've only rode through on my motorcycle, and it's on Long Island. It's actually in between the Twin Forks of Long Island.
Mhm.
But just too much work, you know. With getting the She book done, the She Ash Can done, the Return of the Warrior going, finishing up signing all these books, and I had some more covers I have to do for Zombie Sama. It's just not in the cards, so we're gonna go out to a nice dinner, and then we're gonna do something in December. We're actually gonna go.
And then you're gonna renew your vows live on
like
crowdfunding comics
And he's like, yeah. He's like, I think
with
I
the
think that
ordained
she
Brian
might be the one.
Blevins.
We're gonna go see Cher.
Look out, it's
Nice.
Nancy.
Uh-oh.
She loves Cher. We were watching. I was watching videos from the '80s, and Cher came on, and it was Cher and Cyndi Lauper singing, and Debbie, and she loves Cher. She's wanted to see Cher her whole life, and her whole adult life. And she's like, "Why am I crying?" She was crying. She was so happy to watch it. So I'm like, "All right." So they're playing. Cher is coming to Madison Square Garden on the 4th of December. So I'm gonna take my lady. We got great seats. Holy crap, were they expensive? And spend a nice, do a nice New York City adventure.
Man. Very good. I hope you guys have a great time and enjoy yourselves.
Maybe go see the tree. Love will be in the air. It'll be wonderful. The holiday.
Love will be in the air.
Hey, Billy, Mandy wanted you to know that she got her 300 She homage cover today. Like she did it. So
she purchased one.
Thank you, man.
She purchased of it.
Yep. Oh my God, Kissel gave her Cher tickets away. Crystal, why'd you give your Cher tickets away? Oh.
If Billy could turn back time, he'd make it 25.
Oh, Blevins. That's Blevins, that sweet soul.
So we're gonna go. We'll go see that. So, but Tuesday night we're gonna go to a nice dinner, nice restaurant. I guess probably where we got married at Ohika Castle.
Eureka's Castle.
Ohika Castle.
Ohika.
Beautiful.
Ohika Castle.
Yeah, Google it. It's amazing.
Nice.
I get them free for working on the radio. Dang, Kissel. I bet you Debbie and I could have flew to Evansville and watched Cher for cheaper than what I had to pay for those dang tickets.
Wow.
So, all right. Well, Billy has the skills to pay the bills. Oh, man.
It's true.
Yeah. Well, guys, this was wonderful. I think I might be getting sick. I don't know. I gotta write tomorrow. I gotta finish the sink in the main bathroom, and thank you all for joining us. Did we get how many dislikes did we get?
One so far.
Oh, just one. That's because of Blevins wouldn't shut up.
I think it was because of somebody said that I went to dinner with Bill Clinton. I'm not gonna name any names of who that was.
Oh, look at Blevins has an idea who it might have been. Look at him.
We went to dinner with Bill Clinton, but had dessert with Hillary.
No, that definitely was not real. That was definitely not real.
Yeah, she wasn't there. She wasn't there.
Yeah, she was definitely not there.
Oh,
she's not a real person.
You know what's crazy is they have this huge at the Bill Clinton Library. They have this huge top floor that is a living space for them to stay in when they come into Arkansas. But I don't think they ever stay at it. It's really weird.
Get an extension ladder and check it out.
Yeah. I think they're weird. I can't stand them. So
yeah, I don't think there's an extension ladder that's all.
Yeah, they're just corrupt. Anyway,
I'm sure you have a fire truck somewhere.
I'm gonna go. So, all right, I'm gonna go. Niall, I'm gonna call you and ask you to help me with this.
You got it.
I'm gonna go pull up my green screen.
Blevins, pull that green screen out.
Yeah, get that green screen going, brother. Everyone, thanks so much, and again, we'll see you Tuesday with an all-new episode, and I'll start getting some promos out. What we have going on. I
noticed I had this art up from last night.
Yeah, a couple people were asking.
Yeah, they were asking.
Oh, were they? Oh my God, I didn't even know. I'm like, what the hell is that? I'm like, holy crap! I didn't take the art down.
Dun dun dun.
All right, I'll go back and read and see what people say. What is that? This is the art. I'll show you what the art is.
They said what is it? I said it's the new book.
Yep, it's the new book. This is the art. This is for, and I'm not saying we're doing a metal cover, but if we were doing an actual metal cover, this would be the art for it.
Excited.
Woo! And this is the limited to 500 cover.
Nice.
Yeah.
So.
And that's completely
it's pretty
original.
incredible.
Yeah, you did a great job, buddy. Did a great job, my friend.
Thank you. I was racking my brain with character designs today to give what Anna will wear, believe it or not. And I have a friend of mine who went to college with me who is a fashion designer. And I should contact her. Maybe I'll do that tonight, because we had talked about using her clothes when we did She, Heaven, and Earth a few years back. Anna Swee, the fashion designer, Anna Swee, actually, all the clothing worn by the women in the books were Anna Swee designs. So
wow.
I think we're going to do that too. We're going to hook up with my friend from college and use her designs and have Anna wearing her clothes I'm actually going to go on Facebook now and try to find her. So,
Oh, very cool, man.
all right.
All right, everyone, have a great night. I'm sleepy.
Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it as always.
Blevins,
anytime,
love you,
Blevins.
buddy. You are fantastic. And we'll talk to you over the weekend, buddy, okay?
Definitely.
All right, everyone.
See you later.
Thank you all
Have
for joining us.
yourselves a wonderful night.
Yes.
That's vibrato.
Okay, babe. A hot, spicy little number.
Hot and spicy. See you later.